in life. We live and learn from our mistakes. The deepest cuts I give our faith. Now I believe there comes a time when everything just falls in line. We live and learn from our mistakes. The deepest cuts I give our faith. Now I believe there comes a time when everything just falls in line. We live and learn from our mistakes. The deepest cuts are healed by faith. Now I believe. Oh, fire up. Oh, fire up. Oh, fire up. Oh, fire up, fire up, fire up. Now I believe there comes a time when everything just falls in line. We live and learn from our mistakes. The deepest cuts are healed by faith.
Here we go. Welcome to ReneMarie Chocolat. I am ReneMarie, and this is going to be a show that saves lives. Thank you for joining us today. Way on the other side is my co-host Judy. Hi, Judy.
Hi, good
How
morning.
are you? Good
Great.
morning. Good morning. And sitting between us is a gentleman that his story will save lives, and his name is Chris Galluzzo.
That's correct.
Woo!
Very well done. I love the Italian.
I get a mark. Woo! Just don't ask me to say it in a half an hour because but welcome to the show. And Chris really has a story that saves lives. And the reason that we called it The Inner Voice was that he knew something was wrong. He just knew something was wrong. And for some reason, there was no determination of it. Nothing was showing up on his scans, on your doctor visits. But he kept persisting that there was something wrong. So thank you for joining us today, Chris.
Thank you for having me.
It's really important, your message to everybody, because we're just average people, and strokes or stints or heart conditions or heart attacks happen to anybody.
Correct.
Anybody. It doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter your color. It doesn't matter your race. It doesn't matter your faith. It doesn't matter your size. It doesn't matter. It happens to everybody because you look like a healthy individual.
And that's what the doctor told me. The first time I went into the doctor's office, he said, "No, go home. You're fine.
Yeah.
Maybe you have some indigestion."
Wow.
Wow. He said, "You look great, and
Wow.
there's no reason for you to be here, but we'll check you anyway."
Wow.
And
Wow.
so he did the EKG, he did a sonar test, he did a stress test, and all three proved that there was nothing wrong.
Wow. Well, they showed, but it was
Right,
not
right.
proof of. But let's go back. First of all, we met you through Judy because you're a return. Tell us a little bit about how you connected with Chris, Judy.
Well, my husband and I and a friend of ours, Gary, decided to visit the Comac Kings Park Rotary to talk about an event that we were going to have and to give them flyers. And my connection with Comac Kings Park is that I was president of the club in 2008, and then afterwards I became an assistant district governor. So I still visit. I'm no longer a member of that club. My husband's wife, wow, can't believe I said that. My husband's sister got very ill, and we couldn't attend lunch meetings. We had to go to Queens, so we had to join a morning meeting, which was the Smithtown Sunrise Rotary. So I try to visit a lot of clubs whenever I have an opportunity.
Because they do such wonderful work, the Rotarians. They do, and our guest next week is a perfect example of
Yes.
of what they do, and we'll talk about it later on. But so you are part of the Rotarians?
So-
We were sitting right next to each other.
So we're
actually.
sitting next to each other, having a great conversation, and this show came up, which I think is fabulous.
Thank you.
Thank you for inviting me.
You're very welcome.
And so we talked about it, and my heart condition came up in the conversation. And I had mentioned that I have 5 stents, and she said, "How could this be?
Right, because you
don't
look right, right.
You
Right.
don't look like you have this issue, but the truth is, I do, and I want to help others. So I've done some PSA work. I've put out some information on Facebook, and I definitely saved lives.
Right. Tell us a story about people that once you posted it, what they said.
So a few years ago, I guess about 5 years ago now, I posted that please go to your doctor's office if you're having any symptoms. And the symptoms were minor palpitations, some palpitations in the neck from your carotid arteries, so like little drumming in here. And then if you're sitting for an extended period of time and you get up and you feel dizzy, that's a real good sign that there could be something wrong because it's changing the blood flow.
Right, right.
And I had those 3 symptoms really.
So you had the drumming and the...
I had some drumming, I had some palpitations, and I had the dizziness when I got off the train on the Long Island Railroad going to Manhattan. But most of the time I only received those, the drumming in here and the palpitations, when I exerted myself very, very vehemently. Like, let's say I did a mountain bike.
Right.
And I went up to the top of the mountain in Montauk or wherever I was, and then I would feel it.
Right.
So if I climbed a building, let's say I went into Manhattan, I walked up a brownstone 6 stories, I wouldn't feel anything until I made it to the 6th story, and then I'd feel like very strong pressure on the upper part of my heart. And that's how I said, there's got to be something wrong.
And also when you were on vacation in...
So I was avoiding it. So I did avoid it because most men avoid going to the
Right,
doctor's
because
office.
you think you're invincible. Because because the stigma is that men should handle everything. They should just handle things. Like women, but men in a different area don't cry, don't
Correct.
feel bad for yourself. But you
man
had
up,
to.
the
Yeah,
common
man up.
phrase is,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
So
yeah.
I went to Cozumel with my family, and we were having the best time. Well, yes, in Mexico. And we were going to go scuba diving. And my son and I, he received his certification. I had my certification
For scuba
for
diving?
scuba diving. And I said, let me just practice again because I hadn't done it in a while. I went down only like 6 feet in the pool, and my heart started to explode. Really, the pressure, just 6 feet, made me get out of the water. I told the diving instructor and my son, who was very, very disappointed. But the truth is, that saved my life.
That you got out of the water.
That I got out of the water.
Yeah, because you could have had a heart attack and drowned, and they,
And I was even more nervous about flying back because I just had heard a story about a friend of mine who was having a problem in Mexico, and as he was flying back, he had a heart attack on the plane.
Oh.
And so now I was frantic,
Yeah,
but
because-
nobody knew.
But isn't it when you, because don't you have to, because when you go up, the pressure and the clots build.
Yeah.
How did
Right.
you...
So I got up a lot on the flight back, and I stretched, and I walked, and when I got home, I went right to the doctor. I didn't wait.
This was the first visit. This was the first visit.
And then he
because
said
it was a long span of.
There was
so
a
go ahead.
span, definitely. And so I went to the doctor. I didn't really tell anybody. I didn't tell my mother, my father. I didn't tell my wife. I didn't tell my children. I didn't tell really anybody.
Because you didn't want to worry them.
Correct.
But
About
sometimes when you don't want to worry a family member, what happens after
It's
It's-
a little disheveled. It's true.
terrible.
It's very true. So I ended up going to the doctor. The doctor sent me after pushing him because he didn't believe me. And I said, no, there's really something wrong. He finally said after test after test after test, all right, let's get you an angiogram. And an angiogram is basically they come through the hip or the wrist with a wire, and it goes into your heart, and it checks with a video camera to see if there's any blockages. And when they did that, they found that I was 90+%
Wow.
blocked
wow.
in my widowmaker. So
And it's called the
could have
Widowmaker
died.
because
I could have left my wife.
Right.
Because I could have had a heart attack very easily. And so I took the train there myself, didn't tell anyone, to Mineola from Deer Park. And then I told my wife, pick me up at 2:30. I'll be done at 2:30 with my test. So I didn't know it, but I was out. My wife comes and the doctor says, by the way, are you Mrs. Galluzzo? And she says, yes, I am. And he goes, oh, by the way, your husband has 2 stents. He was 90+% blocked in his widowmaker. He could have died. And my wife goes,
God.
oh my God, I just thought he came in here for a test.
Oh my gosh.
So it was a very tough day for my wife. And then
Definitely.
my parents found out later on, and they were upset with me, and everybody was upset with me. But the truth is, at least I went there.
And you took care of
And
it.
I
You
took
handled it.
care
You
of
weren't you weren't the man ignoring the situation.
You should have just said, don't get upset with me. I could have a heart attack, please.
I
Every
thought
single
of that.
time that they get upset with you now. You can
That's
say
my
that.
next rule.
Yeah.
That's my next
Don't get me
conversation.
excited. My blood pressure will go
You
up. I'll
can't
have a
yell
heart
at me.
attack.
Never.
Don't argue.
Oh my gosh. So how long were you so because when you have a stent you have to don't you have to go home after
So
that?
what happens
I mean,
is
don't
stay in
you
the
go stay in the
hospital.
hospital?
the stent is really just one night stay.
Right.
So when they went through the hip, it was it was really, it hurt like anything in this zone here.
Wow.
So when I woke up out of anesthesia, I was actually trying to rip the thing out of my,
Wow.
I had like a blood
Wow.
thing, and I was trying to rip it out.
I
So-
remember my father had a stent, and he had to stay with like a weight on him to
They-
keep his leg still.
Correct. They
And you
tried
used
to
to-
do that.
And years ago, they made you stay longer in the hospital.
Right. Now it's only one night, thankfully. And, you have to just be careful. You can't really exert yourself too much
Right.
because this area is tender. And this area, the first time I did it, it didn't hurt or anything. It didn't bother me. Nothing bothered me. But as I went into progression of future things, it started to bother me more.
Wow.
So
Wow. So how long did you stay? Just overnight?
So just overnight, and then it just went right. I went right back to work. Pretty much. Day later, 2 days
Oh
later.
my God,
I went
that's
right back
too
to
soon.
Manhattan.
So you
Yeah.
let's retreat let's go back a little bit because
Yeah.
while we were sitting here, what were you doing at that time? Because you had said that you owned some buildings in the city, and then you had owned a restaurant, and
Right.
then you became a real estate agent. Where were you on that
Let's
journey?
go.
So in my life, I've had many crazy life. But at that time in my life, when I was doing that, I was working in Manhattan. I was doing real estate. I've always done real estate since I'm 22. I was a soccer
Just
player.
yesterday.
I played high-level soccer player and everything. But when I got into my 50-year-old level, that's when I was actually doing real estate again, selling real estate and rentals in Manhattan. So at that time, I was running all over the city. So picture me just out of the hospital on a city bike,
Oh my God.
riding my city bike through the city.
Did your wife know that?
And
you
did
were
the
riding a
doctors
bike, and did the doctors know that you were exerting
Maybe
yourself?
I didn't ride the bike
that's a
the
little
first day
too
or
soon.
two. It might not have been the first day or two, but it was right soon after I was already riding a bike in the city.
God.
So I was showing real estate in Manhattan at that point.
That's
And
pretty interesting
it
that a
was-
real estate agent rides a bike.
Oh yeah.
Well, you can't find parking in the
I
city.
know, but do a lot of agents
So in
do that?
Manhattan, it's pretty common in certain areas. So I have friends that still, to this day, will wear their suit like I did and then
ride
go
a
around
bike.
riding a bike to show apartments. And
Wow.
with City Bike Invention, it's really amazing. You
Yeah.
just park the bike anywhere.
Yeah.
So I was actually the number 2 or 3 city bike rider in Manhattan. I was logged miles.
So how do you how do you get a city bike? I never got one. Do you
so
have
you
to,
have a card with your name, and it's your own name. So if you, let's say I would ride from 51st and Lexington, and so you put your card in, the bike pops out, right? It releases the bike. You ride all the way down to, let's say, Wall Street, which is what I would do,
Oh my gosh.
and then I would go to Wall Street, do my business, show apartments, and then I would put the bike back in. I put the bike
so
back
it's
in.
tracking.
So they
yeah.
tracked me from 51st and Lex to Wall Street.
Did you get a free bike once in a while?
So the great part was that I was in great shape.
Yeah.
Great shape, riding
Yeah.
a bike everywhere.
Yeah, but you were in great shape, except you needed a stint.
That's it.
That's the
Isn't
question.
that crazy?
Like, why? What's the result, or what's the analogy of why you needed this stint? Like, what's the basis behind it?
So we don't really know exactly in my case, but my parents were in their 70s. My father's going to be 80, and he in his 70s had his first stent. And my mother in her 70s had her first heart issue.
Yeah, but how old were you when you had yours?
51.
But maybe they needed it and never got it? That could be?
Yes.
I mean, because
So
maybe
we don't
back
know.
then it wasn't as prominent, or maybe they weren't as...
They didn't do as many tests, so they didn't follow
yeah, or maybe
up.
they weren't as intuitive as Chris was to demand that something be done.
Yeah.
Because it really, you could need a clot, you can need you can have a clot, but when it's gonna hit you is really unknown. You could
Correct.
have a clot for years.
And people do. So now I'm learning all about this.
Right,
And
right.
Some people have clots and blockages, and the heart is really cool because it'll open up another area,
Oh, wow.
and it'll kind of bypass it.
Wow.
And it won't act like at 100% capacity, but it'll create its own new little river.
Wow.
So there's been people that have done that. I have friends that have done that, and maybe
They've done what?
That have had that happen where they didn't even know they had a heart issue, but they were blocked so badly that it created its new zone, and it made like a little river on its own.
So okay, so let's be investigators. Like, why would you need a stint if it creates an? Did they still need
Because-
to get a stint, or did they allow that new river to flow?
So eventually that new river is not pumping at 100%
Oh, right.
capacity.
Okay.
So something's going to happen where it triggers you to go to the doctor like this, like being on
Right.
the show right now.
Right.
Some of my friends and your friends may decide to go
Right.
and
right.
get some help.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
fast forward, that's what happened.
And if you're feeling well anyway, you should go for your annual checkup.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, that's a given.
Yep.
That we should go for our annual checkup, even if you were 20 or 30. You know, because 41 is not an old an age. That's the prime of your life. You know, to have something like this occur. That's why I always say that strokes can happen to anybody, because I was 26 when I had my stroke. You know.
Crazy.
So, people look at me and they go, oh, like, how old were you? And I was 26. And that's a scary part. That's the part that we want people to realize is, if you're not feeling well, or if you're not, you need to go see the doctor. You need to go. You need to go check it out. And the truth is, I agree with you on, knowing your own body. Let's talk about that. You need to know your own body, because when my daughter was young, and my daughter was one that got up quickly in the morning. She would, you Samantha, get up, and she'd be up. And one time she wasn't getting up. I said, bring her to the doctors. Brought her to the doctors. They're like, she's fine because she had asthma. Nope. I said, I want a chest X-ray. They said, no, you don't need. I want a chest X-ray. They took it, and she turned out she had pneumonia.
Wow.
Oh my God.
And I said to the doctor on the phone, because it was another doctor that called me, I said, so if I didn't push to have a chest X-ray of my daughter, we'd be having another conversation right now. They said yes. She said yes. She goes, good thing so you have to know your own body. So let's talk about knowing your own body, Chris.
So after I did the first stents, I thought I was clear. I figured this would be 20, 30 years. I would never have this problem again. And then fast forward 2 years later, I'm starting to get pressure again. And again, only on high exertion. Not when I was just like walking in the street or climbing a couple of stairs. It would be when I was riding the city bike, or I was in Montauk, right? All different kind of components. And I had the same problem. But this time, I went to the doctor, the heart doctor, Dr. Lee in West Islip. And I said, listen, I'm having these issues. He did a quick check, like what did he do? EKG. Nothing came up. The EKG really doesn't show much at all, ever.
So why do they take them?
I don't know. Maybe it does for certain people, but never with me has it ever proved to be helpful. So he
What
went
is an
right
EKG?
into.
Let's talk about. Just sorry to bother you. Like, what does an EKG read?
So it's electrocardiogram, but I don't exactly know. I just think it looks for the differences in your heart rate and your heartbeat.
Right.
So
And I always get a copy
see
of it to
this?
see how it looks on paper.
It'll look just a little different on one. It'll be like a little
Right.
beep differently. I don't know. I'm not an expert in that regard. But so what we did is we bypassed that again, and this time we went to a nuclear stress test, and that is where they put this radioisotope into your blood, and it's radioactive, so you have to be careful. And they put it through, and then they watch the amount of blood that goes through your heart and how it's going and funneling. So they can actually see each zone,
Yes.
where it's going and how fast it's going, and if there's a blockage. Well,
Wow.
and then 2 years later, after my first ones, they found blockages again.
That was when you were doing this test.
Correct. So they did the radioisotopic stress test, nuclear stress test, and they found out I had 3 more blockages. So
Wow.
I was very, very upset because I was eating healthier. I was exercising like I do every day, 7 days a week.
Yeah, I mean, you're riding a bike.
Riding a bike every day.
A big distance.
Yeah.
Yeah, big distances. So I really thought that I was going to be perfect.
Yeah.
And it was very upsetting.
Because we're taught, take care of your body, take care of your health, eat right, exercise. I mean, that
Yeah.
you were doing everything
Everything.
across the line that you should be, and you had these difficulties.
So again, I don't know why, but they ended up putting 3 more stents in. So I have a total of 5 stents now.
Jim, can you show that photo? We have a photo of Chris's stents. He just gave it to me. If he could put it up. That's the photos of your stents. It was so, I mean, that's incredible that you have 5 stents in you. And maybe you're the messenger, Chris. Maybe
I think I am. And
Maybe-
many times, a lot of my friends have gone to the doctor, and I know that at
You can take it
least
down, Jim.
20 of them have gotten stents out of my friends because of me being diligent, telling everyone that there's an issue and you should be aware of it. And that's why I'm on a show like this with you guys. I mean, it's fantastic. Your story is amazing, to be aware of your body, and I am too.
Right, and we both agree, and Judy had pointed this out before, is, I do this because I had a second chance at life. I mean, I was really bad. I mean, when I look back now,
That was a massive stroke.
I had a massive stroke. I couldn't walk, I couldn't talk,
You couldn't read.
I was, for 2 weeks, and I don't know the specifics, and I really want to have my sister on so she can give me the details, because I don't even remember
Right.
that time in my life.
She couldn't even read The Boy Ran.
Yeah, I wrote a book, and in my book it says, I remember looking, like I couldn't even comprehend it, So I really think it's a second chance at life, and what are we going to do with that second chance at life? That's why my next book is called Extra Inning,
I love it.
because it happened on the softball field.
That's where it happened.
Yeah, my stroke happened on the softball field, and I feel like, okay, I played my life, my game. Now I'm in the extra inning of my life, and what am I going to do with that extra inning?
Sure.
What am I going to do with it? So, and I know you feel the same way. It's like, what are we going to do with it? It's so crazy, because we all live our lives, and we all, have challenges, and we all have difficulties. But really, why are we put on this earth?
Correct.
Why are we put on this earth? Why do we have this gift of life? When Kobe Bryant died, it's so sad, because he went, in a helicopter with his daughter to play basketball game, I believe, or basketball practice or basketball game. And he wanted it to go in a helicopter because to save time in California to drive. It takes too long. So he wanted to spend more time with his family. So he decided to get a helicopter. And in all the conversations we've had, and everybody's had, it just was his time.
Yes.
And I'm sure that he loved everybody as much as he possibly can through his life, but it passed in one split second, and we all have to think about, what are we doing with our lives, and is it about us? No, it's about us giving our messages to people and bringing hope to people and lifting people up. So
Well, that's my mantra, and being part of Rotary actually
Yes.
really enhances my life, because Rotary is a community-based group that really gives back charity, and it's an amazing institution that I knew nothing about until 9 months ago.
Oh, okay.
You're kidding.
I've only been part of it for 9 months.
Wow.
But my mantra is that absolute power comes from service to others.
Yeah.
Service
without
above self.
expectation of return.
Yes.
So I'm not doing this work here, and you're not
Yes.
doing this work
No.
here, and you're not doing this work here, expecting returns.
No.
It just happens.
Yeah.
You know, and we're such good people in that regard.
I started going to Rotary meetings when I was 14.
Oh, that's fabulous.
My dad was a Rotarian with Baldwin Rotary, and he also established with 2 other people the Oceanside Rotary. And I went to the meetings with my family, and I saw how it all worked. And when I was working, I was in the city. I didn't have time. But when I did get a chance to do it, and by the way, the very end of my dad's life, I said to him, "Do you think I did the right thing? I had to put a feeding tube in and all that. And if I didn't do it, you would have died." And he said, "I appreciate everything you did, and you would make a wonderful Rotarian. Think about being active in Rotary."
Wow.
That's
And this
fabulous.
was maybe a week before he passed.
Wow.
Yeah, so I'm
That was a
enjoying
message,
it.
just a
Yeah.
wink to you.
That's
And I
beautiful.
did it. And
You needed to do it. So what do you do? What do you like when you're a Rotarian? What do you do?
Well, you have meetings. You go over your agenda. You welcome the guests when they come in.
Guests as far as the members?
You're always welcome any new guests to the club.
Okay.
You say the pledge. You welcome a member. Does the Rotary of Comac Kings Park still sing that song?
No.
No.
We need Renee for the singing part. She's the professional singer.
There was a song that they sang. They were very unique because no other club did it.
Oh, wow.
And they sang a song greeting the new guests.
Wow.
We actually say something, but not a song now. It's welcome neighbor.
How do you do?
We're so glad
To be with you. Yes, I
So it's not a
remember it.
song,
But there was
that's,
a song, I think, too.
it's
Anyway.
very nice.
The president goes over the agenda of various activities, that projects that are going to be coming up, and then they talk about future speakers, and they introduce the speaker.
Well, your case, you came to speak. Your group
Well,
came
I
to
didn't
speak
really
about
come
what
to
event, though?
speak.
You have an event coming up.
Yes, we have a snowball event that's coming up on the 28th, and we wanted to talk about it. And
So you guys go to each other's
Yes,
events
yes.
because
And-
anybody can go to your snowball events. Am I correct?
Right.
Like all other members and all that kind of stuff.
right, and
It's almost like a sisterhood or
and
brotherhood.
we
neighbors.
should attend other clubs' activities and projects as well.
Wow.
So the interesting part about that I'm learning about Rotary is that I can go, and I was down in Miami. I was looking up a Rotary meeting in
Yes, you
Miami.
can do it
Because you
anywhere
can go anywhere.
in the world.
But even right now, so we just did a fundraiser for Puerto Rico. So obviously we know Puerto Rico's having major issues.
Right.
And one of my friends came to me, he said, "Listen, I know you love to do charity work. You've done charity work for years. I need support. I'm going to do a big supply fundraise for Puerto Rico."
Right.
Okay. So we started to do it. We ramped it up, and then I put it out in Rotary. In one day on Rotary, I had about 20 boxes of supplies
Yes.
from Ronnie Shelton, who
Yes.
runs General Needs charity. Then they introduced us to the Kennedy Airport Rotary, who ships products for Rotary-based charities
Wow.
to all over the world.
Yes.
And so we met them. They couldn't help us do the shipping of the products to Puerto Rico, but they referred us to another group. And then long story short, we ended up in a group in Islip Terrace who knew of a group that was Puerto Rican based, not a Rotary based,
Right,
but
right.
a Puerto Rican based group that would send the stuff for free.
That's
Wow.
why it's really important to go to those meetings. The the big meetings that Rotary has.
Right.
Because you can meet and you network with people.
You network and you can make connections. And in my year, my international project was collecting used medical and dental equipment and shipping it overseas to various countries.
Wow.
And at one of the meetings, one of those Saturday meetings that they have, I met somebody from New York who had a factory and was collecting a lot of this stuff.
I always said I believe you should be connected to something. It doesn't matter whether it's the Red Cross, it doesn't matter whether it's your church, it doesn't matter whether it's your synagogue, it doesn't matter what you're connected to and you're a part of, but it's really important. And the truth is that, you know, you should be a part of it on a regular basis, not when you actually need help.
Right.
You know, because, you know, financially or spiritually or, I mean, don't get me wrong, the doors are not going to close if you need help initially, if that's the way into the church or the synagogue or the Red Cross or whatever. If something happens in your life and then you reach out, maybe that's the way that you became aware of your need for that particular
situation. Do you know
situation.
that the need was so strong in the Ukraine at the time that when dentists went over there, they brought beach chairs and they used flashlights.
Wow.
And people didn't get any work done. They had their teeth pulled.
Wow.
So this is why I decided to do it. And the other project I did was the Student of the Month. And there were students that were very active in community service, helping other people. And I went to the schools. I found who, you know, they submitted paperwork, and whoever
Right.
was the most active in community service was honored at the Comac Kings Park Rotary.
Wow. Wow, that's incredible. It's incredible. And, you know, like we said, you reach out to something or somebody, or even if you want to do quiet, nice, kind work, you know, helping people.
Right.
You know, I'm sure there's a lot of
There's
elderly people.
Angels Without Faces.
Yes.
That does it without anyone knowing who it is.
Yes.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah. If you don't want your name out in public, you know, and I'm sure any synagogue or church or the Rotary or whatever you're involved with would keep your name quiet
Oh,
as well.
sure,
Yes.
sure.
You know.
But Rotary is a wonderful organization to be part of.
Yeah, we have to start contacting them. I know we haven't, you know, just to connect with our foundation. You know, it's
I
just
have
so many.
given speeches about it.
I know. No, I know. There's so many things. You know, I was on the phone with Marlon, who is one of our partners. They're a college organization called Life's Next Chapter. Marlon is a gentleman. He's probably, I'd say, between 25 and 30. I'm not quite sure
Yeah,
his age.
he's young.
And Marlon went to work at Marlon worked at Barnet Healthcare in Paterson, New Jersey. Now, Barnet was a location that I reached out to because my grandfather, Gagaya, who is one of my spiritual guides, who really helps me with the singing and everything. And he said, I want you to sing there. From the other side, he connected with me. So
Sounds like my wife.
Yeah. So I called Barnet and I said, I would like to sing there. It's and I was born there. It used to be a hospital and it turned into a rehab. So I called them and I connected with Marlon. Marlon is really a wonderful, dynamic, you know, individual who just, you know, loves life and just has no fear in life, you know. And he's got so many great ideas. Well, anyway, when we connected and I performed there, and a few years later, we hadn't spoken for 5 years, he contacts me and he says, you know, we started this foundation, Life's Next Chapter, at our graduation. We all sat there and we said, what are we going to do with our next chapter in our life? And that's how the foundation began.
Great name.
Yeah. So our partnership with this foundation is to educate children. We do strokes, but they do health. They do mental health, strokes, heart attacks, etc., etc. So we were on the phone yesterday, and we were coming up with a plan of action to go to elementary schools and to high schools, because they have the college connection, but I have the elementary school connections. So we're going to start to go in 2020, 2021 school year to educate children about.
Fantastic.
Yeah. I mean, it's so intricate how the connections and everything. But Marlon is really a wonderful individual. I forget why that came up, but
It's just about giving back.
yes. So it was good. So we went about 12 more minutes, but I really want to take this opportunity to pinpoint some of the really important details, because we talk, and it kind of gets lost in the conversation. But I really want to take this opportunity, and what I can also do is clip this portion of the show so that you can use this portion of the show as if you're doing any seminars, or you could show it. So
Sure.
you can Facebook it, you can YouTube it, because we do everything. So take this opportunity to share the important things that the bullet points.
So after leaving Manhattan about a year ago, I started to get palpitations again. And these palpitations were caused not because of a blockage, although I thought it was. So I'm eating right, I'm exercising, I'm literally becoming a vegan because I don't want to have any
Right.
issues. Thinking that's a clean way of life, plant-based. So I
Yeah.
become a vegan, and then I start having these same issues.
Oh my God, that's
So
got to be scary.
So it's scary. What do I need to do to make me? But what happens is I go in for the angiogram, and they determine
You
that
had another one?
I had another one just 7 months ago. They determined that I had scar tissue, not blockage. So okay, what do you do then? Now they have to go in through another hospital, so I have to go to another angiogram,
Oh my gosh.
and they have to blow the arteries out with radiation, some sort of radiation treatment, and they they clean the arteries out of the scar tissue that was caused by the stents being put in the prior year. So thankfully, I don't have this issue anymore. The main thing is I'm selling real estate. My company is very good to us. I don't have to go to Manhattan anymore. So I'm selling most of my real estate
Good.
out here
Good.
with the Galluzzo team and Dix Hills. I don't have to leave. I don't have to go crazy.
Right.
Signature Premier's been wonderful. We just did a charity for Australia. To
Fabulous.
raise money. I jumped in the ocean twice
Oh my God.
against my better judgment.
In the cold?
In the 40
In the
degrees.
cold.
I would never do that.
I could
40
never
degrees.
do that
I'm
either.
diving into the ocean twice with my family. So my
Your
wife,
family went in too?
my wife, my two daughters, my son Chris, my nephew, my niece, my sister-in-law. We all did it to raise money for Australia, and thankfully we're doing that too. But to get back to the point is, know your body. I do
Definitely.
have a dear friend of mine that I lost after my first incident, where I told him, please go to the doctor, get yourself checked out, because he was telling me that he was not feeling well. That was a Thursday night, and he swore to me he would go to the doctor on that Friday. He did not, and he died on that Sunday of a heart attack because he did not listen. He did not listen to his body. He did not listen to his heart, and he should have just made it easy and gone right to the doctor. Instead, he said he'll go the next week.
Right.
And he
So
ended
if
up dying.
anybody out there right now is feeling how?
Really melancholy, tired, getting dizzy when you're standing up, heart palpitations, whether you're working out or not, in this area here, if you're getting any kind of banging or just issues in here, you could have blockages in these two arteries here. So just really pay attention to everything you're doing.
Chris, if they have, I'm sure that if they have one palpitation, they shouldn't run. But you should just start to
Aware
be
of
aware
it.
of it.
Sure.
And also people should go for a carotid artery test yearly.
Which
so
is not hard. Which is not hard.
It's just, they just put an instrument against your carotid arteries
Yeah.
and see if there's any blockage. And that way you know in advance what to do.
There's when I was an ambassador with Valley Hospital in Ridgewood, New Jersey, they had stroke days, and you sign up and you can come and you can have the whole scan
Yes.
for strokes, which is a part of the carotid artery as well. But I'm sure they have heart attacks or heart situations, because the hospitals want preventative medicine. My point is that if you need a resource to where to get some of these tests, look online in the hospitals where you live, your local hospital, or call your doctor's office or whatever, or call us. We'll, whatever we can do to help. I mean, we don't have the information, but we can certainly find out where you can look for the information if you're lost. So, because we want to make sure that everybody has the support that they need to save their lives, and that's what Chris is doing.
And in addition to the signs of a stroke, if anyone out there has a killer headache, go straight to the doctor, because that's what my dad had. And he went to he had swollen ankles, so I took him to a cardiologist. And the cardiologist said he was in the best of health for his age. He didn't mention his killer headache, and he had a stroke, a massive stroke.
If you have a killer headache and you take an aspirin, if it goes away or if it doesn't go away?
What I didn't know was he was rubbing his head. He didn't want to worry me, but other people were seeing it and thinking, well, maybe it was his age, or maybe it was just a headache at this time or whatever. But they said they saw him holding his head like that and putting his head down like that. He never did that when I was with him, and he never told me he had a killer headache.
Was something? What did he have a block? Did he have a blockage? Did he have
he had a bleed going on.
Okay.
Hemorrhagic bleed.
Wow.
And that's what the headache was all about. And he didn't want to worry anybody, so he gave us more worry later.
I know.
So I just want to take a moment and thank you guys. This has been really, really wonderful. You both are amazing. Jim, you're amazing too. This is my second time on one of your shows. It's great.
Well, we were trying to get Chris to do a show.
Well, I'm excited. Maybe I'll get maybe we'll do a real estate show or something else.
I want you to know that you're invited back to our May 3rd telethon.
Oh, wow, that sounds
And it's our 6th annual telethon, and you can talk about the bullet points of taking care of yourself and knowing your body, and say it to the world.
Oh, that's interesting.
And if you're not able to join us on that day, you can certainly do a clip on your phone with a video and send it to us. But we
always be part of it.
We think the conversation is really important to keep alive. And that's, I know you know this because that's why you're doing what you're doing.
Sure.
You just don't experience it in life and go back to your regular. You just can't. Once you become aware of what you need to do, you need to move forward and just keep spreading the awareness. God, it's been over 30 years since I had my stroke. So,
amazing.
I just,
you look fantastic.
Thank you.
I love it.
But, yeah.
You both look fantastic.
We want to have, if you know of any children that suffered strokes, I want to bring them on, so that they could talk about it. And I want to bring hope to them,
Definitely.
Because, younger you are, the more strength you have in recovering.
Yeah.
And that's the truth. My grandmother was 96, 95 or 94, 95, somewhere around there, and she had a heart attack, and she had a blockage in the back of her heart. She had a clot, but they couldn't do anything
because of her
age. So it's really scary, and we're so blessed to breathe every day and to get up every day. Even you, Jim, with your severe back trauma, your spine trauma, you push through it every single moment of every single day. You come in here sometimes and you can't even, walk, but it doesn't stop you from.
I just feel like you have to just keep going. I mean, if you don't keep going, you might as well just
give up.
Back it in.
Yeah. Yep. You don't let the situation get ahead of you. You just keep fighting it. So. We're happy to be a part of your Village Connection network. It's a privilege, and we're so lucky to have this opportunity to bring to you information. This show wants to bring hope and joy and peace and love. And Judy had said the other day how important this show was to have about hearts, because Friday was Valentine's Day.
Yes.
Perfect.
You know,
It
and
just
she,
fell together that way.
And she set up the whole display with Valentine's hearts, and I performed on Friday, on Valentine's Day, for Preakness Healthcare, and God, there must have been 300 people there. I think I don't even know. They just kept coming in, you know, and you know, it's a nursing home, and a hospital, you know, and it was so remarkable. And I kept saying to them, "This is my favorite time of year. This is my favorite holiday because it's about love. It's not about any specific faith-based or you know, or any created holiday. This is about love. This is about loving each other, and this is the most important, one of the most important holidays in the year."
Can I just put in a plug for March 1st? We have, talking about heart, we have Rob Raymond. Put on my glasses. Rob Railman. He's the CEO of Gift of Life International, and he's going to be Skyping in. He's going to be talking about saving lives of children all over the world. That's what Gift of Life does.
So Gift of Life is this pin right here?
Yes.
And it's a major heart foundation.
And
Which was developed through the Rotary.
through the Rotary. Rob was with the Manhasset Rotary Club, and this was one of his projects that actually became international.
Wow.
It's huge. One of the biggest charities in the world.
And the second show will be Gwen Bastana discussing Medicare health insurance.
Wow. Which is a whole thing, because Medicare, I know we've had other people like my financial consultant, who's also deals with insurances and stuff, but Medicare constantly change every single moment of every single day, and if you don't stay on top of it, you know, and we hope that you don't wait, and we always say this is so important, we hope you don't wait until you need it to start learning about it, because you need to prepare yourself in life for these types of situations. You know, you need to prepare yourself in life. You need to get the right heart doctor, you know, on your staff. You know, you need to go interview them. You need to have the right internist, the medical internist. My doctor is Dr. Herman out of Fairlawn, and I love Dr. Herman because he is my main base. He is the one that kind of guides me in who I need and who he recommends to use, and because I've worked with him for over 20 years, he's been my doctor, I trust that he knows my whole story, and he knows my stroke story, and he knows, you know, so it's incredible. And Dr. Littmeyer was my stroke doctor, who was an incredible individual. He came over, I'm not sure the country he came over from, but I took him out to lunch one time because name was going to be in my book, and I had to get his release from it. And he said, "Renee, I didn't come to make any money. I came to make a difference. I came to make a difference."
Yes, and he made a big difference.
He did.
Wonderful.
So it is incredible. We're gonna sing, of course.
Wonderful.
Because you know we have a few minutes, so I'm gonna sing one of our favorite songs by Mac Davis. "I Believe in Music." Do you know that song?
I may when you start
You'll
singing.
know it. You'll
Otherwise,
know it.
I'm
You'll
not
know
very good at music, even though.
Yeah, well, you have to sing the chorus because, you know, music is such an important factor in all lives. And I was crying the other day when I was singing for the Preakness Healthcare because the joy that was on their faces. And don't forget, they came in.
It's priceless.
They came
Absolutely.
in wheelchairs. They came in beds. They came in. It's humbling to me because I think to myself, that could have been me.
Right. Thankfully not.
That could have been me. So it's always important for us to remember how fortunate we are in our lives. You know.
Jim, turn my mic down.
Why?
You want me to do backups.
I have a.
You don't really want to.
I have an auto-tune button.
You have something to make
Put
me
that on
sound
for
good?
you. You're an auto-tune.
I heard her saying I'm a little bit shy now.
No. But we just want to take this opportunity to thank Chris, for coming
Thank you.
today.
Yes,
Wait, say
Chris,
my
we
last
really
name.
appreciate it.
Galziano. Is that it? No?
Perfect.
No, how do you say it?
Galluzzo.
Galluzzo. God, you're testing me.
I love the sound of it.
Galluzzo. Are you Italian?
Yes.
I'm Italian.
come
on.
I'm half Italian.
That's
There
an
you go.
Italian name.
I'm half Italian, half Cuban, so I
Oh,
got a
that's
hot-blooded.
nice. We got a Cuba Italiano.
Cuba Italiano.
Italiano.
As a matter of fact, I've done some Spanish shows, so
That's
with my
wonderful.
mom. So
Yes,
we're
and
going to
we
start.
have-
Yeah,
we
Alicia
just,
Moss is going. I know how to say her last name. Is going to start being our representative for the foundation to reach out to the Latin community.
That's great.
With us. So
Fabulous.
we're very happy about that. But we really want to thank you for
I
sharing.
really appreciate it. It's been
Is
fun.
there any final words that you want to? Because take this moment, take 30 seconds to put something in everybody's mind.
So just really take care of yourself, eat well, exercise, but know your body. And if you truly do have an issue, please go to the doctor. I don't want you to be a statistic. I want you to really be saved so you can help others. And if you're not helping others, start doing that now. If you want to join Rotary, you want to be part of anybody that's over here, you can always ask us that question. You know, it's really great to give back to the community, and service above all really helps.
Service above self is
Above
their
self.
motto.
It's really good.
Wow. And listen to your inner tuition. Because Chris did all those things that he said to you, and he still needed to listen to his inner voice and knew that something wasn't right. And if one doctor doesn't have an answer for you, go to the next one, or go to the next one, or go to the R, but keep pushing until you get an
answers.
answer that you feel comfortable with, because that's really the message to this show, is to listen to your inner voice. And
Doing that, let's start singing.
let's go. You ready? Well, I can just sit around making music all day long. As long as I'm making my music, I can't do nobody wrong. And who knows, maybe someday I'll come up with a song that makes people want to stop the fussing and fighting just long enough to sing along. Let's go. I believe in music, and I believe in love. Music is love, and love is music, if you know what I mean. And people who believe in music are the happiest people I've ever seen. So clap your hand, stomp your feet, and shake your tambourine. Lift your voices to the sky. God loves it when you sing. Let's go. I believe in music, and I believe in love. One more time. I believe in music. Lord knows that I believe in love. Music is a universal language, and love is the key to find brotherhood, peace, and understanding, and living in harmony. So take your brother by the hand and sing along with me. Find out what it really means to be young and rich and free. Let's go. I believe in music, and I believe in love. One more time, the last time. I believe in music. Lord knows that I believe in love. God bless everybody. Let's blow our
Wonderful.
kisses. Bye. See you in a few.
God bless you all.
Join
Good
us.
job.
Stay Tuned. We're Michael Evangelo, coming up. Dr. Mike.
Yo no sé qué tú piensas, yo no sé lo que haré, yo no sé lo que estoy